All right, we're going to look at the House of Representatives specifically for a moment. What we're seeing here is a map of the United States that shows how many representatives each state gets. So representation is based on population. So obviously the more population you have, the more representatives that you have. When the Constitution was written, and still today, members of the House of Representatives were intended to represent the people. So if we were to add up all the numbers that are on the screen, it would equal 435 members in the House. And you notice that the minimum number that any state can have is one. So you have several states that don't have a lot of population in them, that only have one, and obviously California is the most populated state, and they have 52. If you look at Indiana, Indiana has 9 members. So when we look specifically at Indiana's map, we live in Wabash County, which is right here. So we live in the 2nd Congressional District. What you see here is a map of all 9 districts in Indiana. And every 10 years we have to do what's called reapportionment, which is just where they redistribute the seats in the House, or seats in Indiana. So every 10 years there's a census that's taken. And the purpose of the census is to count all of the people in the United States, and then each state is told by the Census Bureau how many House seats that they will get. And I'm going to go back to the screen before, and what I want you to see down here is there were a couple of states, actually one state that gained 2 seats through this reapportionment process. These states gained 1 seat. The ones in gray didn't gain any seats, and then we actually had several states that lost seats in the House of Representatives. So every 10 years we have the census for the purpose of telling states how many representatives you're going to get, because obviously people move. We have shifts in population for various reasons, so we have to count them, and then the states are told how many seats they get, and then it's the responsibility of the state legislature. So our Indiana state legislature got a map of Indiana, and they drew all of these districts, and then the districts were voted on, and this is the map that we currently have. And we will have another census in 2030, and we'll get a new map after that. Gerrymandering is when districts are drawn in very odd shapes for the purpose of the party in power to either gain more power or to maintain the power that we have. So what we can see here, this blue right here, everything that's in blue, that is one congressional district in North Carolina. This is a congressional district in North Carolina. Here's another congressional district. And so there is a reason that they drew this map the way that they did. They wanted to try and combine either their political opponent in just one district, and then their party could keep all the other districts, or divide them up so they don't have any districts at all. And we've got a video specifically on gerrymandering. So again, if we go back to Indiana's districts, these meet the qualifications of what should happen when a state is drawing them. So they should be as compact as possible. Here's the District 7, here's District 1, obviously looking nothing like that other district. They have to be continuous, which means you can't have part of 8 here and this be 8 over here. The boundaries have to be touching. And the most important characteristic or requirement when drawing these particular lines is it has to have the same number of people. There was a court case called Westbury versus Sanders that went all the way to the Supreme Court because they were concerned that some districts had a lot more people and their representative had to do a lot more work, and it wasn't fair to those people living in a densely populated district where you had other districts that had a lot fewer people. So Westbury versus Sanders is the court case that said that every person's vote should be the same. It should equal the same. So there has to be the same number of people in every single district. So there's our gerrymandered districts there. All right, so a term of a term of a House of Representatives is 2 years, and their purpose really is to represent their constituents. So a constituent is the person who's being represented. So we know that we don't directly vote on public policy, but we elect representatives to do that. So we are considered the constituents of our representative, whether that's at the House level, the Senate level, or the president. We are the people being represented. There are no term limits for members of Congress. It's been tried before, but that's gone to the court, and the reason that we don't have term limits is because it's been ruled unconstitutional. There are 3 requirements to be in the House. You have to be at least 25 years old, you have to be a citizen for 7 years, and you have to live in the state that you're running. Some special duties of the House of Representatives: if we are going to pass a bill that is going to raise your taxes or spend your money, those 2 things have to originate in the House of Representatives. And the third special duty of the House is impeachment. The reason why spending bills and taxing bills have to start in the House of Representatives is because the Founding Fathers wanted to make sure that the House that was chosen by the people specifically to represent their interests was going to be the one that was going to tax them and spend their money. So the House has always been chosen by the people. They serve shorter terms. Their term is only 2 years, so we can get them out of office if they are taxing and spending us too much. And they also serve a smaller constituency. They serve only the people of their district and not the whole entire state. Impeachment, a lot of people get confused when they hear that presidents have been impeached. Impeachment does not mean kicking out of office. What it means is the House looks over evidence. If a president has, or not even a president, if a government official has been accused of high crimes and misdemeanor, and they determine if there is enough evidence to have trial, and that's it. It's not the trial, it's not kicking out, it's just looking at the evidence. Is there enough evidence to have a trial? And if there is, then that trial takes place in the Senate. The leader of the House of Representatives is called the Speaker of the House, and their role is to preside and keep order in the House of Representatives. They are actually the most influential member in Congress, and they are chosen by the majority party in the House. In terms of line of succession, if something were to happen to the president, the vice president becomes president, and then they would pick someone to be the vice president. But if there is a vacancy in both the presidency and the vice presidency for whatever reason, then the Speaker of the House is behind the vice president. But again, both the president and the vice president, for whatever reason, those offices have to be vacant, and then the vice president would become president of the United States.